"I think we should get back," I said. I refused to allow myself to run back to the cabin. I wanted to flee to my sanctuary from the light and the phantom eyes. But I was not about to give in to the dread. The further we got from the lake, the better I felt. My sense of foreboding ebbed, and then rose as the cabin came into view. "That was a complete waste of time." Newt stopped and peered at me. "Are you crying, girl?" I wiped a tear away. I didn't want to go back. I told myself if I didn't go on, if I just stayed put, then Ghastly Edna would never have to die. But I knew it wasn't true. It was the only thing I could do. "Why are you crying?" I pushed away my tears. Witches weren't supposed to cry. "What is it?" Newt demanded. "She's dead." "What?" I should have stayed. "What are you talking about?" "She's dead." "Why would you think that?" "Because she told me she would be." Newt spread his wings in alarm. "She told you? She didn't tell me! Why didn't she tell me?" He dashed toward the cabin in a speedy flapping skip. "Why didn't she tell me?" I ran after him, overtaking his short strides and reaching the cabin before him. I threw open the door and stepped inside. Ghastly Edna lay on the floor, sword buried deep in her back. A scraggly man, hairy and dirty, poked around in the cupboard. He turned, revealing a scarred face. "What have we here?" He leered. I'd never been leered at before, and I didn't like it. He rubbed his grimy hands together. "My, what a healthy young girl we have here." A second brute emerged from my room. "Hey, look what I found. I think someone lives here." "I'll say." The brute laid eyes on me and wiped his mouth. The two killers advanced, no doubt intending to force themselves upon me. Newt strolled in between my legs. He took one brief glimpse of Ghastly Edna and turned on the killers. His eyes glinted in a way I'd never seen before. "What you gonna do, girl? Sick your bird on us?" Newt bellowed a monstrous quack, deep and bestial. It wasn't very scary, but as scary as any quack could be. The demon rose within him, and he pounced. A storm of webbed feet, slashing bill, slapping feathers tore into the killers. They ran screaming out the door. Newt chased after them, squawking curses. I left the murderous scum to their executioner, and I checked on Ghastly Edna. I pulled the sword out of her, and I rolled her over. She looked so peaceful. I was almost ashamed to bother her, but it was her last order. My ability to talk to the dead was a gift of my curse. Witches knew ways to speak with the deceased, but it was complicated magic. On the other hand, I could awaken the soul of a fresh corpse with just a touch, provided the soul was still in the flesh. The spirit usually remained for a few minutes, just to be certain that the body had really expired. Ghastly Edna, knowing I would be back, would certainly still be waiting. Newt strolled into the cottage. He was covered in blood, none of it his own. He left scarlet web prints behind him. "They're dead." I was not comforted by this, as I thought. The killers being dead didn't bring back my misfits. "You should have seen it. I speared out the big guy's heart and showed it to him before he died. And the little one sliced off his head with 3 slashes of my bill. And I don't mean to brag or anything, but it was something to behold." He grinned, but the grin vanished quickly. "Ah, damn it. I can't believe she's dead." "Quiet. I need to concentrate." I laid a hand on her stomach, and I dug around for Ghastly Edna's soul. I wasn't sure I could do it. I'd only practiced on animals up to now. Rabbits, squirrels, sparrows. But my first person wasn't much harder. It only took a moment, and there was no resistance. Her eyes snapped to life. "Hello, child." She squirmed stiffly to the floor. "Be a dear and help me up, would you?" Getting her to her feet proved difficult. Her corpse and her spirit were barely connected now, and she hadn't been very graceful when she was alive. She wiggled her fingers mechanically. "Excellent work, child. Now help me to the table." On rigid legs she clomped to the chair and sat down. Her knees cracked. She patted the chair beside her. "Quickly now. My body is a leaking vessel, and we haven't much time before I must take permanent leave of it." I sat, and Newt hopped to the table. "Dear boy, you're a mess." "I'm anointed with the blood of your murderers. You have been avenged." "Hardly." Ghastly Edna smiled, or perhaps left the side of her face twitch without her knowledge. "They were just Those two were just merely tools of another, but I appreciate the effort just the same. It's the thought that counts." Her face went blank again for a moment. "Now the girl and I have matters we must discuss. Things you need not hear. Besides, you're dripping all over my floor. Go outside and clean yourself up." Newt, like I, didn't question Ghastly Edna. He quacked, turned up his bill, and left. I took Ghastly Edna's hand. She'd always been ice-cold with a touch, but even alive, I'd found comfort in that before. But not today. I should have stayed. Well, then you would have been killed as well. But they were just brutes. Brutes or not, a witch was to die here today. That was what had to be. Past, yet to be. Close, but no. This was the present that would be, but need not be as it would. I didn't understand, and this last bit of confusion weakened my will. I started to cry. Just a few tears. I expect Ghastly Edna to chide me for the display, but she brushed the tears from my cheek. She ended up poking me in the eye, too, but this was merely an accidental twitch of her inflexible arm. The jab made me cry harder. "The time has come, child, for you to strike out on your own, find your own destiny. I know you're scared, but you'll find the world is not so frightening. And you've got a lot going for you. You've got a good heart and good sense. This undead business is rather minor, really, and you're an accomplished witch, accomplished enough to overcome your unfortunate physical defects. I don't want to go. I want to stay here with you." She laughed. Her bouncing corpse nearly toppled from the chair. "Unfortunately, I must be leaving soon. So should you. Things change, dear, even for the ageless. You can't hide from the world forever. I know you'll do just fine. In fact, I know you'll do me proud." She winked, her eye held shut. Her voice became a whisper. "For a week, I offer you these 3 possibilities. First, you may be small in power, very large in number. Second, remember the people. There are other ones. One with rare exception. This one. With the news of the retreat, no one is thirdly, this is something that you should never forget. The little troll and the name will be with you." She laughed again. "Almost time. When you leave this place, follow the trail around the lake of Deep. When you reach a fork in the path, you have a choice to make. Head east, and you will take the first step toward truly avenging my death, or dying horribly yourself, or possibly both. The magic is not entirely clear on this. Head north, on the other hand, and you'll find a life of quiet contentment and simple pleasures. More happiness than most people have, but less than you might find to the east, even with that horrible death possibility. On this, the magic is quite clear. I wish you well, whatever choice you make. Now give me a hug before I go." Years of living with Ghastly Edna had left me ill-prepared for this last inspection. Displays of affection were not, strictly speaking, against the witch's code, but she had never been very affectionate, not with the genuine floating. "Come now, child. I don't have all day." I wrapped my arms around her ample frame for the first time ever. She was a large, lumpy woman. I'd never realized just how lumpy. She hugged me back with one limp arm, and she still had some power. Another burst. She shivered as her soul slipped from her flesh. Floated down between the cool embrace of the earth and the witch's spirit. I couldn't bring myself to let her go. I held her corpse tight, and even if it was an unwitchly thing